Hello, we are live. Good evening, everyone. How is it going, everyone? Let me just check my audio. If you can hear me loud and clear, type loud and clear in the live chat box. Yes, my audio seems to be fine. Right, good evening, everyone. This is Eunice Tan, coming live from Singapore. And I'm an entrepreneur, speaker, and trainer. Right, so let us know where are you watching this from. Welcome to our Facebook page and YouTube channel on Daily People Skills. Let us know where are you watching this from. Are you watching in Singapore or are you watching overseas? If you are watching from overseas, which part of the world are you watching from, right? And what time zone are you at now, right? If you're watching in Singapore, have you had your dinner? What do you have? And or are you having your dinner while watching this? Let us know. Yes, right. Now, once again, welcome to our weekly Facebook Live sessions where we share our experiences when dealing with people and the mistakes we made so that you don't have to make them. And of course, many of the hot tips and solutions we use in our daily lives. And many people think that people skills is just about EQ, communication skills, and leadership skills. But people skills go much, much beyond that. At the bottom line, it is about who you really, really are. Because before you can manage anyone else, you must first manage yourself. It is also one skill that will never be replaced by technology and artificial intelligence. My strong belief in that. More about that later on. All right, for now, let's jump right into today's topic because I like to start my session on time. Right, today's topic is on one of the most misunderstood and misapplied concepts when it comes to dealing with other people. And of course, yourself. Have you ever seen flaws or faults in others? And has anyone pointed your flaws to you? FLAWS, right? As if you don't already know your own, right? Or are you someone who can see the talents in others and yourself? Has it ever occurred to you the same characteristics of a flaw is actually the same characteristics of a talent? So yes, today we are going to talk about flaws and talents. And if you think you know, you might be in for some surprises. By the end of these sessions, I want you to be able to flip your mind and start looking at flaws from a very different perspective. So watch to the end as we explore what is a flaw, what is a talent, what are the 5 most common flaws that people complain about, what are the underlying fears that these people are afraid of, and of course, some of the actions and quick tips that we can take to improve. So let's get started for today. Right, so what is a flaw? Change that. You can call it a mark, a blemish, a weakness, right? And generally it's something faulty, right? And you notice I put the faulty, yes? Right, and what is a talent? It is a special natural ability, for example, when it comes to swimming, dancing, singing, and drawing. It can also be described as a capacity for achievement. For example, someone is very good in sales, very good in analyzing, very good at strategizing, or even organization skills. It is a talent, right? So today I'm going to explore the 5 most common flaws and that are very commonly faced by many people. And regarding talent, right, they are usually traits desirable by others, just to add on before we go on. Right, so today I'm going to explore the 5 most common flaws that have been raised up by most of you and most of the people that I've come in contact with. And they might not be what you think they are, and see whether is it possible that they are just talents hidden in disguise. So first up, one of the most common flaws that people talk about is when the other person is too direct, right? Yes. And people who are too direct, what is the first number 1 complaint about them, right? Or the flaws people thought them about is that they hurt people even though you don't mean it. If you are someone who is direct, you will hear this remark a lot. You hurt people. Or if you're managing someone who is, known to be a direct person, you will hear this a lot from the other teammates or other friends as well. That person is so direct, really hurtful, say very hurtful things and all. And direct people, right? They tend to be perceived at least to be impatient or overlook many details. So these are some of the minus points regarding someone who is seen to be very direct. Now, but what if are they just minuses points? What about plus points on this direct person, right? Someone who is always being told that they are very direct. The plus points I find is that they are very real people. And because what you see is what you get. There's no need to second guess them, right? They are direct, right? They don't hide behind any flowery words. They don't mince their words and all. And seriously, they are one of the most real people that I've ever come across with. Right, and one plus point is that they are also very bad liars. I told you, right? They are direct, so they just say what it is. You want to ask them to say something else. I think it's going to be a very, very big challenge. You can always tell they will go but when it comes to the truth, the directness, and they just directly tell you what is it, right? And one thing I like about them, usually they know what they want. Right, so usually these people who with a direct characteristics, right, they know what they want and go straight for it, right? And even if they they might say yes very quickly, they also can say no very quickly, right? So this is something that I find about people who are direct. And I'm actually one of the people who say that people have been telling me I'm a very direct person. Yes, in a way I am. So to me is that, and I like people to be direct with me as well. To me, yes and no is a good answer. Maybe it's not. I'll think about it. It's also not, because even if you tell me it's a no, it's fine. We can just move on, right? Now, I just want to explore one misconception about being direct. Okay. Right, one of the misconceptions about people who are being direct, right, is that people don't like directness. But the thing is that it's not that people don't like directness, right? It's not that they don't like you to be direct with them. Actually, what they don't like is the negative feedback, or when you disagree with them, or you disapprove what they do. You're just not in line with them. You see where some of you are seeing where I'm going with this, right? And what happened is that the question need to ask is, let me ask you a question, yeah? Okay, do people have an issue with receiving a direct compliment? Meaning, you just cook me something, right? And if I'm being direct, I will say, hey, this is delicious. Or I can say, hey, this is awful, right? Both are being direct. But you will notice, if I'm complimenting you, people have no problem with that. They don't say, oh, you're too direct. No, they don't. They are happy about it. They are happy with the directness. So, but when I say, oh, no, this is terrible, and then people start saying that, what? Oh, you don't appreciate people's things. You shouldn't be so direct. You should be appreciative of what people have done for you and things like that. Notice the difference? So it's not the directness that people have an issue with, but rather it's because of the negative feedback, of the negative response that you're going to say. So take note of that, right? So why am I raising this issue? Because the problem with people who are direct, right? And very often people who are direct, they always say this. It's a very common thing coming from them is this, right? I'm just telling the truth, right? And I cannot lie. I cannot lie to you. I'm just, what's wrong with that? What's wrong? I'm just telling you what as it is, right? But the problem with this approach is that people who are direct, they don't realize sometimes people don't want to hear the truth, because the truth hurts, right? So, and also another problem with people who are direct is that it's usually the tone. So I can be direct with you, but then it's okay to be direct. It's something to be, I think this one can do with a little bit more directness, right? But the tone is the one that is doing the trick, that is going to make a lot of difference, right? So you see what I mean when I come across, when I present these solutions to you, right? So people who are direct, what you need to do, if you're managing someone who is well known to be very direct, okay, even to the extent of being blunt, right? Okay, what you need to do is to learn when and how to be direct. Yes? Now, so in terms of when, it will be, you need to check whether is the person just ranting, okay, they're just talking to you, right? Or do they really want to hear your opinion? There is a difference. See that? Sometimes people just want to rant. Sometimes just want to talk to you. Sometimes people just want to say something, but they don't really want to ask to hear your opinion, right? And I really learned how to actually ask them this question. So I always tell people around me, right? Hey, my default is always to analyze question and give you a different perspective of the situation and all. And people like to come to me because I analyze and present different solutions to them, different perspectives. They love it, right? But there are times this is not appreciated as well because they don't want me to solve the problem. They just want a friend that just listen to them, what's going on, that kind, and be there to support them. That's all. And I learned to ask them, are you renting or are you really want to hear my opinion? Sometimes I will just ask them that question. And yes, of course, some people might be shocked, like, what? But the thing is that they tend to be appreciative and come clean with me and be honest and upfront with me and say, yeah, I just want to rant. I just want to talk to you. I don't really want to hear your opinion. And then we have a common consensus to say that, okay, this is what we are going to do, right? Rather than I think that we want me to present to solve the problem for you and start analyzing the whole situation for you, right? And another question I learned to ask also is that, do you really want to hear the truth? Before I tell them what I think it is, before I present my opinions or my analysis, right? In a very firm yet gentle tone, right? And that brings us to the how, right? We can still use a very firm tone, but the thing is that it's not about the firmness, but it's about the gentleness. So remember earlier on we talked about the problem with people who are direct is because the tone is too harsh. So I learned from the hard way also. So I learned that, hey, actually, you know what? I don't have to go, wow, sweetie pie, that kind of thing. It's not me anyway. But I learned to be just firm, right? Be grounded, and I can still be gentle with them, right? And just present the analysis if they want to them and say that, this is what I think it is. And I don't force my solution, my opinion, my perspective down their throat. That is very, very important. And I will just let them, I just present an alternative to you, a different perspective to you. You make the decision, and no matter what, I will respect your decisions and I will support your decisions. See that? Right? And in a good book, right? And it actually says that in the Bible, it says a soft tongue can break the bone. And I really learned the benefits of this, and it is really the truth that I don't have to shout and be harsh on people. I can just be firm and gentle with them, and my point get across. And in fact, sometimes it's even more effective and efficient than shouting at somebody. I know sometimes it's really hard to control our temper. I have a bad temper, but just do your best. Just be aware. At the end of the day, why I created Daily People Skills is actually to create the kind of awareness. So once we are more aware and more conscious of what we are, we can make the decision, right? You can make an informed choice, right? Right. And also so how is it a talent, right? Is it a talent? Being direct, is it a talent? How can it be a talent? Now, why I think that is talent, okay, is because I think people who are direct, they are actually just very straightforward people. And because of their straightforwardness, they tend to able to see things in a very simple way, and they are able to simplify things. You know how some people like to complicate things, right? Whatever goes into their hand, it goes very complicated. But a direct person usually is able to break down very complicated stuff and just go straight for the point. And because they are also very focused, so they tend to be able to have the ability to simplify things and talk about the major things that we need to focus on, right? And they are very results oriented. At the end of the day, they always say, so what is it that you want to achieve? Objectives and all. So what is it? And once they do that, they just go for it. And so I think if you are looking for someone who is self-motivated and they like to have a bit of freedom, and you yourself you don't like to manage people, micromanage at least, but you just want to get the results. You want to get things done. People who are direct can be your ideal person as well. You might want to look for someone who is direct because they tend to be results oriented. Now, they also tend to be someone who tend to work fast, right? And tend to, okay, all these, right, is a usually and tend to generally most of the time. But of course, there are always exceptions to the rule, but we are talking about most of them, right? Okay, so these are some of the talents that you can actually turn it around. If you look at it, it's the flip side is that these are also the negative, these are also the pluses, right? So if you are looking for someone who is like I mentioned just now, just someone, you know, you don't really want to micromanage people, you want to people who are self-motivated and all, you can just, and you know, you just tell them your end results and they will get things done, right? So these are the people you might want to do that. And if you are managing someone who is direct, or you are employing someone who is direct, or you are a business owner who is tend to have these traits of being direct, right? You want to, if you are employing someone, let's talk about employing someone first. You are dealing with someone who is very direct. Make sure you put them in a position where they can make some sort of decision, right? They make very good, quite good decision maker. We'll talk about the lack the problem with them in that sense, right? You need to, yes, you need to give them a support, someone who can support them in terms of the details, in terms of the execution and all. But they tend to be able to get things done. So that's what I mean. So you need to give them a bit of freedom to do what they want, right? Okay, so simple tricks for improvement, right, in this area is that, you know, if you are someone who is direct, or if you are managing someone who is very known to be direct, right, always train yourself, right, and internalize yourself so that you pick up what is good and beautiful and verbalize it. Don't just talk about the faults. Don't just pinpoint what can be improved, right? Or just, you know, what's wrong with it or what's so awful about it. Pick up what is good and beautiful. There's always something good and beautiful in everybody, in every situation. So pick that up and verbalize it. And after a while, right, you will see that things start to shift for you. Right. Another thing you can do is, of course, to expand your vocabulary. I learned that by the hard way as well. I learned, oh, you know what? There is no just good or bad. You can have the in between, right? You can also, for example, you know, I learned to say, yeah, it's actually not so pretty. It's so. It's okay. I've seen better ones, right? So these are direct enough to tell the other side that, you know, I don't think too highly of it, but at the same time, it's not so hurting in that sense. But you don't go against your own conscience, then you're not being a liar. Remember, yeah, direct people don't make very good liars, right? Okay, right? And pick up people skills. Yes. Let me just pick. If you have not yet, right? So you know what to do. Pick up people skills, improve your communication skills, improve on everything in terms of how you relate to people. So you know what to do. Like and share this video if you have not yet done so, right? Yes, I'm being very direct here. Now let's look at the direct opposite of this group of people, which brings me to the next point, point number 2. The second group is people who are, one of the flaws that people talk about is being too wishy-washy. Now, this group of people, the minus point is, in a way, minus point is because they are too considerate or they are being too nice, right? And they think too much and they don't want to offend people. And they are all at the back of their mind, they are always asking this question, what else? What else needs to be, what else have I not considered? What else do I need to think of and all? Right? And these are some of the things that is maybe not so desirable and make people very like, you know, can you hurry up and make a decision? And because one moment, you know, they want to, you know, just think of how people decide what to eat for dinner, right? You have to come across people, after 15 minutes, they still cannot decide what to do, what to eat, right? Okay, so, and I mean, and food is one minor thing, but what about when it comes to work? You may not have the luxury to think too long, you know, or you think too much about it and all. So some of, I'm not saying that rush into decision, but I'm just saying that sometimes at some point you need to make a decision. And some of these people, right, the people who are too wishy-washy, they keep flipping option A and B, and maybe C, maybe D, and they keep going round and round. And after a long period of time, they still have not come to a decision. It makes things very, very hard for other people sometimes, right? But what about the plus side, right? The upside about people who are like that, right? If you look at it, the plus side about them is that they don't make haste decisions. This group of people is really direct opposite of the direct people, right? Direct people, they make very fast decisions, and but sometimes it can be a bit hasty. Whereas this group of people, although they are wishy-washy, but they are considering all the options, so they don't make haste decisions, which can be good, right? And they could make good listener, because they are listening to all areas. So can you see? Can you start to see the pattern now? The same traits can be a negative. It can also be a positive, right? And these people, they are also very patient. Can you imagine looking at all the options? So sometimes they go beyond the 3 options or 5 options. They go like 10 options, 100 options, right? And they tend to be more open-minded and coachable as well. Well, you have to be if you are going to look at all the options available, right? And they are not so close-minded, and they say that, okay, I've already decided on this, I'm not going to look at that, right? So you can see actually the same traits is really both a minus and a plus, right? And you begin to see the pattern. And what I'm sharing here, by the end of this session, right, it doesn't matter how many, what is the flaws that you see in others, you will be able to flip it around, and you start to see that it can be a talent as well, right? Now, the thing about this group of people, why are they wishy-washy? It's because of their fears. And every group that we are sharing today, right, the 5 groups of people, the 5 the common traits, the common flaws, each of them have their own set of unique fears in that sense, something that is very pertaining to them, right? Or more in them rather than in other groups. We all have, but it's more prevalent in them. Now, in this group of wishy-washy people, they are very afraid of the consequences of their decisions. They are thinking that what happens, if I make this decision and this, and then this happened and that happened and all. So they cannot move. They cannot make the decision. Oh, what if I decide on A, but maybe B is good, or maybe A don't turn out to be as good as he or she claim, and then what if B may not be as good, but then in actual fact, he is much better, right? Sometimes these people, right, they may suffer from FOMO as well. What if I miss out on, if I don't choose B, maybe what if I miss out, right? Talent, right? And also another reason is also they are afraid that they might offend people. So very common if you hear if I do this and then A is not happy, if I do this, B is not happy, A likes chocolate, B likes vanilla, and B don't like chocolate, and this person likes to go slow, that person likes to go fast, and things like that. So wishy people, right, they have this innate fear of offending people, right? Because that's why it's very hard for them to make a decision as well. Sometimes in their heart, they already make the decision, but they are afraid to verbalize it or decide on it, right? So you will hear, for this group of people, right, you will hear a lot of buts, right? So for example, you order food or you organize a dinner gathering. I remember one time this lady was asked by the company to organize a birthday celebration, and for those born in that month, right? And including one of the department's head. It almost did not happen. It almost ended up a disaster. Just the selection of cake was a nightmare for her. Some don't like chocolate, some love chocolate, some are dairy intolerant, some are on diet and want the healthy version, and some is like, oh, well, it's cake, don't go for the healthy, it's not nice, right? Cakes are supposed to be unhealthy, and the more unhealthy it is, the tastier it is. It completely stressed her out, and it stressed out the other team members as well, because every day she was going around asking for opinions and suggestions, yet there was no progression. Until 2 days before, someone direct enough. Yes, the first group of people, one of the direct people come and kind of meet her and guide her along to make the decisions. Her role in the office was actually in the area of customer service, and she performed it very well. That was why she was asked to organize the birthday celebration, thinking that, well, it's along the line of customer service, right? But the difference is that when performing customer service, she doesn't really need to make decisions per se. She needs to be patient and listens to what the customers want and present the solutions to them. You see, the solutions are more or less set out by the company already. She doesn't have to think of the solutions or make the decisions. And if she is stuck, she has someone higher in position to go to for help. Whereas in the birthday celebration, she has to make the decisions. See the difference? And that is one common error bosses make when it comes to promoting someone. Just because someone who is good at execution does not necessarily mean he or she will make a good manager, because there are two different roles and require different skill sets. And the manager needs to know how to make decisions and take responsibilities. So what's the solution for this group of people? All is not lost, okay? Right. Let's see. Now they need a lot of encouragement, a lot of encouragement, right? So every now and then, just give them. It doesn't have to be big, but just something like a good job, pat on the shoulder. That's great enough, right? Even a emoji of thumbs up. That's really a big encouragement for them. And you can take daily baby steps in making decisions, right? You can, it doesn't have to be something that is very big or relevant to your work even, but it's just something that, you just make baby steps to be able to make decisions very quickly. Don't spend too much time. So another trick is actually to put a time limit on how long you take going to put to decide. Of course, the more serious the decision needs to be, you can give yourself a bit longer. But you don't like ordering food, right? Just give yourself 15 minutes. If usually you take 1 hour to decide, right? Reduce it. You can reduce it gradually. Like for example, 45 minutes you have to make a decision. 30 minutes you have to make a decision. 50 minutes you have to make a decision. And very soon you will find that you will be able to make a decision very quickly. Okay, let's move on to the next common flaw, which is too analytical. I'm guilty of that as well, right? So for this group of people, your minus points would be you emphasize too much on facts and proof, right? And that you give no room for humanity, right? You have difficulty relating to people, right? And just the human touch, right? The human touch. You need to be there. Sometimes really missing like crazy, and there's no room for creativity and flexibility. The rules say like this, I must do this, and it's you need to analyze a lot of options and all. And this group of people, we tend to tease them and say analyze until paralyzed, right? You are overwhelmed by your own research. And in the end, you are so paralyzed that you are not an action taker. So sometimes you have come across this group of people, right? They keep analyzing which option, what should I do? Should I go for package A or package B? Maybe I should go for a package C. And they keep analyzing and drives people around them crazy. And I know because I used to do that, and I drive people crazy as well. I drive myself crazy doing that. And in the end, right, I think of all the different scenarios that could happen. And you know what? In life, in business, at work, and everything, every day of life, sometimes we just can't think of so many scenarios. There's millions and infinite scenarios that could happen. And I think this pandemic is one very good example. You can analyze that the cows come home, but you can never analyze that this will happen, right? But hey, you know what? There's some plus points, right? Here they are. Now, the plus points of this group, amazing, right? They pay attention to details. Absolutely. That's why they can analyze, right? And they cover all grounds. Remember, they will look at facts and cover all grounds. And they don't have any loose ends. They tend to be very, they are not messy in the way they work. Right? And messy, I don't mean just like, things are all over the place, physical things, but the thought process is very logical, it's very smooth, and it flows really nicely, and they are not all over the place. Some people, which actually come to the last group of people, you'll find that they are all over the place, and one moment talk about this, talk about that. But people who are analytical, they are very logical, so they will talk about this. And if you skip a stage, you skip a step, they will bring you back. What about this, right? What about that? So it's good because and that's why they are able to cover all grounds, and they tend to be very focused. So when they are looking at this, they will be looking at this, right? And so which is actually very good because they are not all over the place, right? Okay, and they get things done also, right? So what are the fears of this group of people? Which I will come to it in a moment, but just at this point of time, just want to say that again, if you look at it the same, if you look at this list of plus points, if you look at it, right, it can be a negative points, it can be the minus points, but it can also be plus points. The minus point can be the plus points as well. So you need to enhance the plus points of each of this group that I'm talking about today, and enhance them and harness them to the positive side of things, right? So if you need to do research, if you need to analyze things, you need to explore what are the options available in the market or to make your next decision and all. And for example, you want to revamp your business. For example, you are a marketing head and you want to go digitalization and you want to see what's going on and what happened. You will need people like that to help you to analyze what's going on. There's so many options available in the market, so much noise in the market. Which service provider are you going to engage? Which one is suitable for you? Which options is suitable for you? Sometimes all the options are good, but not all the options are suitable for you, right? So you need someone like that to help you to come to a decision. Yes, you can be the decision maker, but you need someone analytical so that to help you to cover all grounds. Remember, they are the one who cover all grounds, right? Now, so this group of people, right, what are they afraid of? Right? The one biggest fears they have, right? An overarching, overwhelming fear is, have I covered all grounds and possibilities? That's why they analyze and analyze until paralyzed, because they would be thinking of what if this scenario happened? What if that scenario happened? What if and scenario 3 happened? What if that? What if that? Right? So they keep thinking about what could have happened, what could not have happened. They want to, and they at the back of their mind, they always thinking that what if I miss out one scenario? So they always have this fear that they miss out. They have not. They miss out one detail. They did not cover all grounds and possibilities. This is one of their biggest fears among all, right? And of course, it links with the next one, which is, did I miss out anything? Again, very very big, right? Now, they will always be talking about the what ifs and what about as well. So they are always thinking, oh, what if this, what if that, and what about this? What about if this scenario happen? Are we ready for that? What about that? That scenario, are we ready for it? Do we have a plan for that? And what about if it doesn't happen? So, for example, if we want the customers to, click on the link, but the customer did not do so. So, what about that scenario? So, there are good points in being analytical. You just need to learn how to put the right people at the right places, and it can be a talent that can be explored to them and harnessed to the potential, right? So, what's the solution for this group of people? Is to acknowledge that there will always be risks in everything. There is no such thing as no risks. Okay. But what you need to do is that you need to learn to ask better questions. For example, what are the chances of this risk happening? Right? So as I was saying, right, they would be thinking, what if this risk happen? What if that risk happen? So you need to ask yourself, what are the chances of this risk happening? If it's 0.001%, is it okay to just ignore it? Like, even if you don't need a solution for every scenario. If it happens, the risk of it happening is 0.001%. It's okay. You don't have to have a solution for that, right? And also, Another question you can ask is that, oops, let me see. What is the worst case scenario? What is the worst case scenario that will happen, and can I stomach it? Right? So when you think about it this way, right, and you start looking at things very differently, and you start saying that, oh, you know what, actually this is the worst case scenario that could happen, and it's okay, I'm okay with that, and even if it's happened, I've already put things in place, right? So that is good, right? Anything worse than that, I think is okay. And we go back to the question on what are the chances of this risk happening. So it's not that high, it's fine, let it go. Okay, yeah, remember the song from Frozen? Right. The difference between these two, the difference between people who are too wishy-washy and analytical, is that people who are too wishy-washy, they tend to be more concerned about the people, right? Remember we talked about how they want to please everybody, they don't want to offend anyone, whereas people who are more analytical, they're more concerned about the facts and logic, and it's a bit more left brain. So if you look at it, so they are more concerned about the scenarios and the risk. What if they are more concerned about what if they miss out anything, or they don't cover all grounds, right? So these are that's the main difference between the wishy-washy and the analytical people, right? Now, number 4. Okay, let's see. What is our number 4 flaw or fault or minus point you can look at is too flowy. Yes, you know what's flowy? Okay, people who are, they say things like, okay, let's cover the minus point first. They say like, oh, I feel like it, or I don't feel like it, meaning I feel like doing, I don't feel like doing. They are the people who are always go with the flow, and they do things at the spur of the moment, and they don't think so far down the road, and they are not very good planners, honestly speaking. They need inspirations to produce results, which means that sometimes it's not very consistent outcome or results from them, right? And sometimes they are not very good at reverse engineering. Meaning, if you sometimes you tell them the end results, they can't really work backwards. Whereas the people who are direct or analytical, they are able to work backwards and see what needs to be done in order for us to achieve that. Whereas people who are too flowy, because they tend to move forward, they tend to look at the next step only. I go with the flow. Remember? So my flow up to this is only up to this point. It hasn't go up to the end result point yet. So I don't know what's going to happen, right? How am I supposed to know what's going to happen, right? This group of people is completely opposite of the analytical. So you can see when you have an analytical and a flowy person working together, right? They will go crazy. They will drive each other crazy like nobody's business. That's why in a project, sometimes people get into argument or disagreement, and they just blew their talk. It's because of all this. You see, the analytical people would be like, I need facts, and all can give me by this. They are very process driven, they're timeline driven. But the flowy people is like, oh, okay, I feel like it, I'll work on it. Oh, I have no inspiration, I can't give you yet. I can't, when I have the inspiration, I'll give you. It's not being irresponsible. Some of them are responsible, but they tend to give you at the last minute. It can be quite scary for some of us, right? But all is not lost. Okay, let's see the plus points of the flowy people. I love them as well, yeah, because I'm also one of them. I will explain what I mean. Now, they tend to be spontaneous, creative, friendly, and fun, because they are flowy, right? So they are very spontaneous. They are also very quick, and on the spot they can think about, oh, you know what, we can do this, we can do that. That's why they cannot think about the end results. Like they just cannot visualize too far down the road. And remember, I talked about they are not very good planners, but they are very creative, and they will get their way, and that's why they are able to find a solution as along the way. But you cannot ask them to think too far down the road. They tend to be friendly and fun because they tend to live for the moment, right? Okay, you'll hear a lot of people who are YOLO, you only live once, right? So That's a common term these days. And also they can think on their feet quite a fair bit, right? They don't need a lot of data to analyze as an analytical people, the third group of people. They can think on their feet and just like that, and they can come up with a solution or ideas. That's why they don't have to plan so far ahead, right? And they tend to be ideas person as well. So, they are the creative people, remember, and they will be able to come up with, oh, we can do this, we can do that, right? And they are non-judgmental. Wow, this is really something I like about it, and which make them quite a good people person as well. They can they just accept who you are, and with that, right, you will feel very relaxed with them. Yeah, you find that you really can be who you are, and you don't be afraid, and you can show even your not so glamorous side to them, and they will still accept you and just love you as who you are. So these are the very flowy people, which I think if you need to deal with external customers, I think they are very, very good people. So make sure you place them not in terms of like back end filing kind of deadline kind of thing. They don't do very well. Okay, but you need to go with them. People who are deal with us. They could make very good salespeople, right? And customer service or damage recovery. Some people, your company made mistakes or something. These people are the ones who can actually they are very feeling people, so they can feel the customer and know what to say, how to say, right? Just instinctively they can do that. So make sure you put them in that kind of role, right? And what is their fears? Does that mean they don't have fears? Absolutely have, right? So their fears is actually responsibilities, right? So that's why because they love their freedom, right? And they go, they just like to do what feels like it and what comes to mind, go with their hearts, that kind of stuff. So having responsibility means that sometimes you need to control yourself. So they don't really like it, right? So you'll see that most of the time if they are entrepreneurs, they tend to be a bit one man show because they don't need to be responsible for anybody else. If they are employee, they tend to be like, I don't want to. They tend to reject leadership roles because they just want to be who they are, right? They just want to enjoy in that sense. So and they are very afraid of boredom. Absolutely, this will freak them out, right? You do something that is again routine, right? Which is our third one. They won't stay in the job for long, right? And they make a mess out of it, and they probably start decorating your files. They start being creative, and no, you don't want someone creative. You just want someone to follow instructions, right? This is not the time to engage these kind of people, right? Okay, and last but not least, I mentioned the loss of freedom. They really need to be out. They are like the birds. They need to be flying out of in the wild, in the open. They are not supposed to be caged in a kept in a cage, right? So these are the fears. If you give them a job that is any of these, right, they will just not being able to handle it, right? And I have a little story about myself is that, usually by nature, I am a more left brain, analytical, logic, rationale person, right? Or so I think. And most of the time I am. But, as time goes along, as you grow up, you get mature, you gain more experience. And I did this Gallup Strength Finder, right? Which shows you 34 strengths that all of us have in terms of ranking. That means we all have these 34 strengths, right? It's just that some are stronger than the others. So if you want, you can go and take a look. I think I'm perfectly happy with them. No endorsement from them, okay? Right? Now, on my first is actually futuristic, right? My last strength, right, is actually discipline. That's my last strength, right? And in Gallup Strength Finder, they have a slight different definition in all the words. Now, to them, the definition of discipline is not like military kind of discipline, but rather it's in terms of routine stuff. So I never thought of myself as a flowy kind of person because I'm quite so-called disciplined and focused in that sense, right? I'm very logical, I'm very rational, right? If I need to do something, I will sit down and make sure I complete it. But at the same time, I do realize sometimes I really cannot stand routine stuff. Right? If you ask me to, wake up every 4 a.m. and go and train, like Joseph Schooling train at wake up at 4 a.m. and start training for his Olympic goal. Right? Some people they don't talk about Olympic, right? Just wake up at 7 and every day go to the gym. I think it's not something that I can do, right? I can do it maybe 3 times next, but it's not something that I can do routine on a routine level. I'm not very good with that. I need to spice up the things. So that brings us to the solution. How sometimes I have to do it, right? And the funny thing is that my business deal a lot of compliance as well, and deadlines as well, and routine stuff as well. So how do I do it? What I do is that I always make it fun, right? So I had difficulty in the beginning, and what I do is I kind of make it fun. I see the fun side of it, and I see the positive side of how I can contribute to my clients and all. And I so allow myself to have some creativity and where I can, right? In terms of talking, so I still do quite a bit of creative stuff in terms of presenting solution, thinking out of the box, solving clients' problems. That's the part I like. So this is only one minor thing. Then of course, with the years goes by, you are more mature, you're more settled down, so it gets a little bit easier. But always make it more fun if you have this group of people, right? So you and also for if you are managing someone like that, and at some point this person is already in a leadership position, or at some point you need this person to be more settled down and need to take up responsibility. Now what you do is don't give the huge burden of responsibility straight away. It's overwhelming for them, and they will just drop everything and run, right? Like what I did at one point. But instead, increase the responsibility gradually. So, maybe at first you're in charge of this project, and then you're in charge of one person, maybe a part-timer, and then a full-timer, and then 2 person. You get the idea, right? So you increase gradually and not at one go. It's too overwhelming for them, right? For this group of people, right? Now let's move on to the last common one. Okay. Oh yeah. So start with buddy system, right? Last common one is a very special group of people, right? They are too good at talking, too bad at executing, right? We all know someone like that, and in fact, someone drive us crazy as well, right? People who can talk so beautifully, but when it comes to the executing, nothing comes out, right? First and foremost, I want to clarify that I'm not referring to people who know only how to criticize or be negative. I'm not talking about this group of people. I'm referring to people who actually contribute constructively and positively with their ideas, and sometimes wonderful ideas, right? But when it comes to the execution, they are absolutely at a loss. They have no idea how to start, even though it's their own idea. And in the end, they either never start or they never finish anything, right? Things are half done. These are the people, they very seldom finish something. So so these are some of these are the two major, I would say, minus point in terms of this group of people, right? But the plus point of this is obviously they are great conversationists, as they have great communication skills, right? And they are being, you just throw them to anybody, right? They can expound on any topic, even if they don't know what it is, right? And I'm not just talking about, BS people or what. They really can, some of them I've seen that they really just admit that they don't know the topic and get the other person to explain and ask questions. They're very good at asking questions as well. So they are very great conversationists and can keep on going. They are also the life of the party, right? And these people, you need to have them at any gathering or anything that you need to have a little, you need to relax the atmosphere a little bit. You need to have them there, right? And with them being life of the party, and it's very seldom it's going to be boring with them around. Yes, and obviously they are also very creative people. Yeah, they're absolutely very, very creative. Yes, and but for this group of people, what are they afraid of? Their fears is very, very. I would not say unique, because we all have them, but it's very, very obvious in them, and that is, I'm not good enough, the imposter syndrome, and what if they find out I'm a fraud? You see, people who are very good at talking but bad at executing, that's the problem. They feel that they are not good enough, and when they start doing, they will they realize that they are not as good as they think they are, and they might be thinking at the back of their mind, even if they don't verbalize it, at the back of their mind, they will be thinking, what if they find out that I'm actually not as good as I present myself to be, right? So and other people will find out that I'm actually a fraud, and I'm an imposter, and so this, okay, we all have these fears at some point, but these are very dominating in this group of people, right? That's why they are not very good at executing, right? It only shows that they are not good enough. That at least that's what they think. Now, what's the solution for them? Then a lot of encouragement and daily baby steps, right? So you give them some small projects, some little deadlines, and then encourage them, and just a pat on the shoulder. Same thing as the previous group, right? So the for this particular group, right? Start with small skills projects. Don't straight away give them the big, wow, 1,000 people. Ask them to organize for 1,000 people. No, don't do that. Ask them to organize the birthday celebration. Ask them to organize I don't know, a team bonding thing, or even just for one person, organize something for one person, and then for two person, and then for three, right? And have a buddy system with them, someone to support them. We all need support at some point, right? Every all these 5 groups of people, we all need support, because whatever they are weak at, right? Someone else can be a complement to them. Remember what? And if you look at all these 5, you'll find that they actually, when you put them together, they make a great team because they complement each other so well, right? Okay, so let's have some great quick tips. I know we covered quite a fair bit today, but I want to just, if you cannot remember anything, just remember this 3 quick tips I'm going to leave with you, right? So every day you just only need to be 1% better than yesterday, right? And you may not be good enough for everybody, but you are always good enough for somebody. And last tip I want to leave with you is there's always something good or beautiful in everybody, right? So you just need to pick that up. Right? So that's all when it comes to whether you see a trait that is a characteristic. When you see a negative, right, see something beautiful. There is something beautiful in that. So just need to flip it around and tell yourself, how can I make it a talent? Right? Right, so that's all I have for today. I trust that you have learned at least one thing today, sir, and internalize the quick tips or how-tos, and you will reach your destination at some point, right? And what have you learned today? Let us know. There are so many other flaws we can talk about, but there's only so much we can cover today. So what do you think of these 5 flaws that we talked about today? Do you still see them as flaws? What is the one flaw you absolutely cannot stand? Put it in the comments box and let us know what is it. Do you think maybe, just maybe, you can learn to flip it around and start to see it as a talent? This is really a big topic, and we have many more videos to expound in this area as well. Right? So many people also ask me this question, right? And why am I speaking and doing training on the topic on people skills? It's because people skills is a skill that I think is a very important and very practical and important skill set. In fact, I will go to the extent of saying that it's a life-saving skill set. I know many of you are concerned about being replaced by technology and artificial intelligence. I totally believe that people skills is one skill set that will never be replaced by technology and AI. You can learn about coding, cyber security, etc. But these are technical skills that will get obsolete, and you will have to keep improving yourself in this area. Yes, they are important, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking them down. But behind every hardware, software, equipment, even cameras, there's always a human being behind it. This is what keeps me going, because I know behind every camera, there is one person watching, learning, and needing this message. It doesn't matter what business or what industry are you in, you are always dealing with people. And furthermore, let's face it, we are all social animals. We crave for the company of other people. This pandemic has shown us more so than ever. with all this safe distancing, not able to gather with your family and friends, it has shown us that even with the best technology, it cannot replace the company of each other. So you might as well start learning how to deal with people. And the first person to start with is with yourself. So like and share, follow us, subscribe to our materials, and what we can do is so that you will be notified when it comes to when we post new videos. Okay, that's all I have for today. I'll see you around. Bye. Watch us for our next video, okay?